This is the season of Lent. This is our last Sunday in the season of Lent. And Lent is the time when we get ready to celebrate Easter. And Easter is the time when God brought Jesus back to life again. But how do we get ready to celebrate Easter? One of the ways is to learn about some of the things that Jesus said and did. Join me on this journey. Everywhere that Jesus went, he told people to love God and to love each other. He healed the sick. He made the blind see, the deaf hear, and the lame walk. Jesus also had the power to bring dead people back to life. And in the small town of Nan, he raised the only son of a widowed mother. Sometimes Jesus needed time to talk with God in prayer, and so he invited Peter, James, and John to join him. And while Jesus was on the mountain, his appearance began to change. His face shone, and his clothes became a dazzling white. And Moses and Elijah came and talked with him. And a voice from heaven came down and said, "This is my son. I love him. Listen to him." Well, the disciples, they didn't understand what was going on the mountain, but they told nobody of their experience until after the resurrection of Jesus. Meanwhile, in a valley below, a father had brought his son who was ill. His son was experiencing seizures and could not talk properly. And the man had hoped to find Jesus there to heal his son. But he found only the disciples. And though the disciples tried to heal the boy, they failed. But when Jesus returned from the mountain, he was able to heal the boy. Now it was time to celebrate the feast of the Passover, and Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. And the people would lay their palm leaves and their cloaks as he rode into Jerusalem. "Hosanna in the highest! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And when Jesus went further into the temple, into the court of the Gentiles, he saw all the people who had come to worship and pray. And he saw the money changers and the merchants selling their offerings. And Jesus heard all the noise and the commotion, and he saw how some of the people were being cheated by the money changers and the merchants, and it made him feel very sad. And he overturned the tables, and he shooed out all the animals. And he said, my house is a house of prayer for all nations." Later in the week, Jesus was joined by his other disciples. while they were gathered on the steps, they watched the people bringing their offerings into the temple. And the rich people would bring lots of offerings and take a long time to put them into the offering boxes. And then they saw a widow very quietly enter the temple and very quietly place her 2 coins in the offering box. And though she had only put 2 small coins in the offering box, she had given more than all the other rich people, because she had given all that she had. And the rich people still had money left over for everything else. Now it was the night to celebrate the Passover, and Jesus had sent 2 of his disciples ahead to prepare the meal. And when all the other disciples had gathered, they were joined at the table by Jesus. And then Jesus left the table to get a basin of water and a towel. And the disciples, they were confused. They were like, why is Jesus doing this? Why does he need water and a towel? What is he up to? And Jesus knelt down beside the disciple, and he washed his feet, and he dried his feet with a towel. And then he moved on to the next disciple, and he washed his feet, and he dried his feet with a towel. And when he moved on to Peter, Peter said, no, wait, I'm not comfortable with this. You shouldn't be washing our feet. Oh, but Peter, you don't understand what I'm doing. I hope someday that you will. No, I don't want you to wash my feet. No, I'm not going to let you do it. Oh, but Peter, if I don't wash your feet, you can't be my partner. Okay, fine. Then if you wash my feet, you must clean my head and my hands as well. Peter, said Jesus, one who has already taken a bath all over now only needs his dusty feet washed. Now you are clean. And Jesus continued around the table until he had cleaned everyone's feet. And then they celebrated the feast of the Passover together. They sang a hymn. They went to the Mount of Olives. And it was there that the soldiers came, and they arrested Jesus. And a terrible thing happened, and Jesus died. But God raised Jesus to life on Easter Sunday morning. Lent. Lent is the time that we get ready for Easter and for the resurrection. I wonder how these stories help us get ready for Easter. I wonder how how these disciples felt about having their feet washed. I wonder how Jesus felt washing their feet. I wonder if you have had anyone wash your feet. I wonder if their feet were really dirty. I wonder why Peter didn't want Jesus to wash his feet. Thank you for joining us on this journey to Easter.